All right, I think we're almost at time. Do we have everybody that we need to have here with us?
I am here. Oh my gosh, look at that baby.
It looks like we do.
Yeah, so we've got staff, we've got council members. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then. Thank you everyone for joining us for the July, I almost said August, meeting of the Public Relations, Communications, Tourism, Libraries, Boards, Commissions, and Citizens Group Policy Committee. I am Alison Coombs. I'm the Aurora City Council member for Ward 5 and the chair of this committee. And then let's go ahead and have the other members introduce themselves. Councilmember Marcano.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Juan Marcano, representing Ward 4 and vice chair of this committee.
And Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Councilmember Medina, Ward 3, and I'm just a participant as well on this committee. Thank you.
A member too, but thank you. And so next item of business is approval of the minutes. I was not present at the last meeting, so I will abstain. Council members Marcano and Medina, do you have any changes?
I do not have any changes.
Me neither.
Okay, thank you both. And now any announcements, any upcoming events or big news that anybody would like to share? Midori?
I just wanted to mention really quickly, we had 200 people for story time today with Dr. Seuss and Thing 1 and Thing 2. We had a special private partnership with Belco Credit Union who sponsored our summer reading, and they also provided free books to give to the kids today. So it was really exciting. Very cool thing.
That's really wonderful. I'm planning on starting to come to some of the baby story times soon, and I can get my schedule arranged as such. We do also have 2 more ward redistricting public comment sessions, one tonight at 6 p.m. and one next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So if folks are interested in knowing more about the ward boundaries, and how they're going to be changing, please attend those. And the 720 Memorial Celebration was a wonderful success, and our Art and Public Places Commission was involved with the chalk art and helped really make that happen. And our museum is now kind of setting up or has set up a 720 mini exhibit in part of the museum. So please check that out. Any other announcements before we move on? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move to the presentation or the report from the Cultural Affairs Commission with Midori and Sethi Tucker.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and I will let Seth introduce herself and share just a little bit more about herself.
Hi there, you guys. Good afternoon, and thank you for your time. Hopefully we won't be taking up much because we know everybody's busy. My name is Seth Tucker. I know it looks like Sethi, so please don't be offended because I get it all the time. Hey, my mom thought I was going to be a boy, and so I think when I came out to be a girl, she said, "Hey, I've been calling you Seth this whole time, so that's what it's going to be." And just left the E on and said, "Hey, we'll just make it silent." So a little bit of my crazy story. So I'm the chair right now for the Aurora Cultural Affairs Commission. And we've got a little bit, hopefully this won't probably take too long, right, Medora? We can just kind of go through.
Yes.
And hopefully if there's additional questions that you guys have, just stop us and let us know. Midori's helping me out just because Midori's really good at that. So thank you, Midori. All right, so our commission, the purpose of our commission and what we've put together, and let me tell you guys, we've actually thought about this long and hard, and it's kind of organic. Sometimes it changes, but the nuts and bolts of it stay the same. And I'll just read. The purpose of the Cultural Affairs Commission is to provide ongoing systematic planning, assistance, and support for the enhancement and development of cultural arts activities within the city of Aurora, and to stimulate community involvement in those activities. And right now, I'm sorry, Midori, right now we have
Oh, darn
few
it.
folks that are sitting on the commission. We're going to be adding a couple more, which we're super excited about. But we have another, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members, and that's excluding myself, so a total of 6. Okay. All right. And so here, just to give you an idea of who makes up the commission, we've got representatives from Arts and Public Places, the Aurora Fox, the Chamber of Commerce, Arts, and the Business Committee, and the Aurora community members. So members around the community that aren't actually on another commission or something like that, which that's kind of where I would come in, because I don't sit on any of that stuff. So glad to be part of that. And then our cultural services division includes Art and Public Places, the Aurora History Museum and the historic sites, the Aurora Dance Arts and other arts education classes, the Fox, the Aurora Fox, the Bicentennial Arts Center, and Aurora Rhythms summer concerts as well. So something we're pretty proud of that we get to do every year, and we're fine tuning this. I think you guys know, especially with all the COVID stuff going on last couple of years, we had to change or make some light changes to how we were able to do our grant process. So it's the Northwest Aurora Arts Grants that we are able to delve out to folks who are wanting to do operations and like maybe individual programs. And so we're kind of back to our old ways, but when we had to go through COVID, we had to make some adjustments. But just I feel bad for reading this stuff like kind of verbatim, because I feel like you guys can, but I'll try to just hit on what I think are the higher points. And then if you guys want to go back, if we need to send a copy, I'm sure we can do that. We're supported by the Aurora Urban Renewal Authority. Our budget in 2021 was $125,000, and our budget in 2022 was $150,000. Cultural Affairs Commissioners, we reviewed all the applications, so we pretty much put a deadline on when these things have to be in. We take our time, we look at each one of them, and then we basically set up the interviews or the meetings and listen to the presentations of people. So the cycle runs from June through July, and it kind of gives the timeline of what we do. We try to stick to that just because people who are wanting to participate, we feel like that makes it a consistent process. So you'll see, we say they're due in November. We'll do the presentations in January, and then we try to get the final awards out by February. Disbursements in spring follow contract completions. So I don't know if you want to expand on that, Midori. Does that kind of make sense to everybody?
I'll just quickly jump in and say, you know, this is one slide with a couple of bullet points, but this commission gets together for retreats. They spend hours on this stuff. As Seth said, we've had to really work on kind of fine tuning and changing the guidelines. And just so you know, this grants process is really meant to stimulate traffic and activity in the arts district. So it's really uniquely focused in a special area, and it's a very special partnership with the Aurora Urban Renewal Authority as well. And we work a lot with Phil Nakbar and Andrea Amanek on making all of this happen. And the whole idea is to create a thriving arts district.
Thanks, Midori. Okay, and just to give you guys an example, so in 2022, like I said, we had $150,000 that we could award. We found 12 individuals and or organizations to give that money to. And some of these, I'm sure some of you know, there's Dava, um, Vintage Theater, right? Yeah, Vintage Theater. We did 5280 Artist Co-op. We did Roshni, ACAD, which is the ACAD district, right? And Keto FM, Nueva Escuela de Música, the Aurora Symphony, Pop-Up Theater, Black Parents United, Act One Productions, and a gentleman by the name of Daryl Gott.
And I'm just going to jump in too, Seth, to say we
Mhm.
had several new folks on the list for this year. The Black Parents United was a new group that we were really excited about. They want to do a big event in Fletcher Plaza to really activate that space and to work with families of color, and particularly African American families. Daryl Gott, Seth, you might remember he was the gentleman who wants to do some jazz workshops at the People's Building. So we did have some new folks that were excited about doing some cultural programming in the Arts District.
And I think also too, I'll add on to what you're saying too, Midori. So also you guys, another reason why we're pretty proud of the grants process is because even in the beginning, or at least since I've been on the commission, part of our goal was to reach out into the community or to basically help folks who maybe wanted to put on an event or and didn't know as much, about how to do that. And so basically, this was us saying, hey, just give it a shot. Just because you've got some organizations that know exactly what to do and how to do, we would like to encourage you to apply because this money is here for you to help make your community a better, active, artsy community. And so I feel like Midori said, we've had a couple of additional folks that we haven't seen before, and they're in a way learning from, the Fox or learning from, the symphony because they, are able to see, oh, okay, this is how this is supposed to be done. Or they can go and find out how it's done. So I think we've also we've upped our game in that way as well. I hope I'm making sense. So okay.
I think you are, but I can't see anybody's faces, so I don't know if others think you are or not, but I think you are.
Thank you.
Doing great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. All right. And then the relationship of arts and culture to city goals. So I'll try to be super fast. The Southerner in me sometimes reads really fast, you guys, because I want to be cognizant of your time. So I'll make it quick. So fostering cultural
It's
diversity.
okay. You don't have to be super fast. We only have one other thing on the agenda today.
Oh, perfect.
So say whatever you need to say.
Take your
So
time.
I can be like the sloth on that. What's the kid movie
On
with the
Zootopia.
rabbit that wants to be the guy? Yeah. Like, I don't know if I could do that if I tried, but yes, I can slow down. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Great. So, and we kind of know through these two guys, like the interesting thing I think you guys know as well is anytime you have new folks and we've got ideas and everybody wants it to be the best that it can be for the time that you have, we have ideas and we kind of have to hash out, okay, what does this really mean? Because we take this commission very serious. So this is what we come up with so far. So promote Aurora's diverse neighborhoods as a key reason to live in or visit Aurora. Use diverse cultural resources and the arts in urban districts and other place types to create destinations. Create safe and welcoming public spaces throughout the city that are designed to increase communication and understanding and reduce conflict among cultures. Embrace and promote multiculturalism in education, communication, celebration, and commerce. Further strengthen Aurora's reputation as an international city that recognizes the value and contributions of immigrants and refugees and supports opportunities for these communities to thrive. And the crazy thing, not crazy, but the funny thing too, is you guys, we were trying to make it that when you read it, that people understand it. You know, people can read something and be like, okay, it sounds cool, but let me Google up, let me just find out, you know, what's the meaning of multiculturalism or whatever that is, you know. So we try to be cognizant of that and hopefully make sure that people understand what they're reading 5 years down the road, you know, to
And I'll
get a
just
really
give
good
some
footprint.
concrete examples of this too, Seth, like the support of Roshni. If you've ever met Deepali, she comes from India. She does all this wonderful cultural programming with Indian dance and culture. You saw Keto FM sponsored on there. And Dali runs a radio station that is not transmitted in English and serves a specific population of immigrants. So we really try to use this as we're thinking about how we're using resources for the city.
Hmm. Put on some different lenses as much as we can. So, okay, in our minds, we say arts and culture equals quality public art. So, in my mind, you guys, which can be a little warped, I'll admit it from time to time, not in a totally bad way, but um, people can see stuff and appreciate it, you know, or say, hey, what is that? You know, and maybe even what in the world were they thinking when they put that up? Who knows? Might even encourage them to, you know, go find out, you know, because we know kids are very, you know, inquisitive. And so, you know, if we can start with them as well, that helps. So arts and culture equal quality, cultural and community activities, right? Getting our kids out and sharing some things with them, things that they didn't know, opening their minds a little bit. And sometimes, you know, when you get the kids' minds to open up, or, you know, as adults, we tend to follow. I don't know that we always open up first, but kids are really good leaders with that. So you'll see the Aurora History Museum. Sorry, Midori, I should have did that part earlier, but the 19th Amendment exhibit that they've got here, and then the Aurora History Museum, and that's the summer history camp. And then of course we got the Fox. I hope I'm not offending people by not using the whole name, but the Aurora Fox here, okay, but the Fox, right? And then we got cultural arts here. We see the Bicentennial Arts Center, and we got keyboard classes, which I had no idea about, but have looked into getting my daughter into keyboard classes because she wants to learn how to play the keyboard. And lastly, I didn't do too bad on the time. That was good. Okay, so ideas for city council or consideration. I'm gonna tell you guys, we had this kind of last year, but we keep hitting it home. Cultural Affairs Commission, we would like to work with any interested groups regarding a performing arts complex. Like a complex. We are proud to be an SCFD tier 2 organization. And I want to thank you guys, but I also want to add before I say thank you, this it's really important. In fact, if I can say, it's not that we have many disagreements on the commission, but what sticks in the forefront for the commission, I can tell you, 9 times out of 10 is, man, why don't we have a performing arts complex?
Mhm.
It makes no sense. Like, what's going on? So anybody and any ideas, anything that we can collaborate or help, you know, we would welcome that feedback, welcome creating those bonds and kind of getting something, you know, going, because there could be people that are thinking the same thing that have a little bit of a head start or have some other ideas. But we're open. We are definitely open to that. So you guys, thank you. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for your time. And thank you for letting me slow down a little bit and not feel over weird about it. You guys have any questions?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing. We always appreciate hearing about what folks are doing. I will say, on the performing arts complex idea, I think I speak for everybody here on council, at least, that we are very interested in and want to support that. I will say, as the council representative, liaison to the Visit Aurora board, Visit Aurora has in the 5-year strategic plan to get a performing arts center in the city of Aurora. That is part of our strategic planning goals, is to make sure that we as a city have a performing arts center, because it is so essential to tourism,
Yes.
and to the cultural arts, which is essential as well to tourism in our city. So that is an area where we can definitely collaborate, and please email me. I'll put you in touch with the executive director. My friend here is learning to make new noises, my baby Ellis, so bear with me. As we
His name is
talk.
Ellis.
Ellis, yeah.
Ellis. Hi, Ellis.
Say hi. Hi.
He's like stranger danger, Mom.
Actually, this baby has no sense of stranger danger. Hopefully they develop.
So handsome.
But yeah, so that's a huge, absolutely important goal for at least many of us. And I know Ruben recently talked to a lot of people about it when he was campaigning. So I will definitely let him and Juan make their commentary on that issue. My other question is just in terms of engaging people outside of the Colfax corridor and the arts district, and kind of improving neighborhoods and neighborhood connection. What role do you see for the commission in that?
I will let Midori speak a little bit on that, because there's probably some behind the scenes that go with that. You mean outside of the ACAD district, like right there?
Yeah, so in the rest of the city.
Right, right. If I'm not mistaken, right, Midori, the funding that we have right now, it only applies to the ACAD district for particular reasons. Is that correct?
That is correct. For the grants, the urban renewal footprint is specifically dedicated for that arts district area. But we don't have it in the presentation, but I do want to quickly mention that we are getting ready to update the cultural services plan for the city. There is one that expired at the end of 2020, and we wanted to put it on hold just to kind of get through the pandemic. And I'm glad that we did, because I believe that things and priorities are going to be changing a little bit as we come out of the pandemic. So we're going to be working with the consultant to work through that. You may have heard that Helen Murray is leaving the Fox, and we're super sad about that. I've had a great chance to talk to Laura about it on a couple occasions. So with, a key vacancy coming open at the Fox in October and the Cultural Affairs Commission working on a new cultural plan for the city anyway, we think it's going to be a good opportunity to just really kind of examine our current practice, our current needs, kind of the future needs, what the future vision is, and we're hoping to pull together a plan that will be hopefully very inclusive of input and feedback from people all over the city, not just the arts district.
Wonderful. And I
More to
know
come.
that there is, so just as part of maybe how to have the conversation about leveraging urban renewal funds, there is an urban renewal area nearby the city center. And the city center is an area where we have land where we could look at a performing arts complex. So, and with that, I will hand it off to Councilmember Marcano for his question.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Coombs. And yeah, thank you, Seth, for your presentation and for all the work y'all have done. Yeah, I just kind of want to echo a lot of what Councilmember Coombs said with regards to the Performing Arts Center. I think you'll find a very supportive group of folks on this committee, and I think probably our entire council at this point. And I think we all have our own opinions as to where and how we should do it. I certainly do. But yeah, I really do think that the city center, this should be the anchor for our city center. It should be part of the heart of our city. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to actually get moving on that direction soon. I know I've had some conversations with city management about what, some potential options might be, not really necessarily from like a design side, but from, a funding standpoint, because we're long overdue, to your point. And I think that that's something that everyone can agree on. So yeah, so I just want to thank you for your, continued interest and continuing to push us on that, and also for your presentation.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Modori. Thanks to you all. I appreciate it. I appreciate
And
it.
let's also let Ruben, Councilmember Medina, see if he has any questions or wants to weigh in as well.
Oh, thank you again for your presentation, Seth. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of something I campaigned on actually in my area, which is Ward 3, which is right there where the city center is. So I do have a meeting, trying to schedule a meeting with Bruce Dalton next week to actually talk about that specific topic about putting a venue up in that area right there off of Chambers and somewhere in that neighborhood of Chambers and Alameda. Just because of the location. And the fact is, like I've told people, we have all the infrastructure. We got light rail, we've got main thoroughfares, we got highway, we got hotels, we got food, we got all of that stuff right there. And so to me, it would make sense for us to put something there. I know in light of everybody touts the Gaylord, but like I've told people, Gaylord's out of sight, out of mind. I live in the city proper, and so I don't think about it when I think of where to go. So for me, it's about some place that I travel quite extensively. And so I think it would help to bring that area. So we're looking at with some developers I've talked to also that are developing that area, is to make that a walkable area. And so what we'd like to do is to make it a place where you can park once and then just walk around. And that would be a great addition to have that in that area. So
Absolutely.
I would definitely be in support, and I'll be look forward to any suggestions, ideas you would have, because I'm not the experts. You are, and my job is to hopefully help push it. So
You're
thank you.
certainly not calling me anybody's expert.
Well, we do
I mean,
have.
on this, you are.
She is. Don't let her fool you. We certainly have a lot of needs just from a city staff side too for cultural arts education. I think, one thing that really comes to mind, like for us, is the School of Dance. We don't have a dedicated space for our dance students, and we really rely on the rec centers to be able to offer that. It is a very, it is a self-sustaining cultural program, and it's the only one that we have at the city. But without a full-time space for that, it makes it really tough for the program to expand and to make affordable dance classes available to even more children and adults throughout the city. So, from our perspective, as you're starting to think about what does a cultural arts center look like, or a performing arts complex, it's empty for most of the time. And a school of dance really helps fill that space and also raise revenue and earn money for the city to help offset the costs of a complex like that. So as Laura and I have been talking about, just from the staff side, kind of what the needs are there. And Nancy Freed and I talked quite a bit about this too with Chris Weinman from Semple Brown, but really there is a staff need for that space for dance classes and rehearsal space. So I just want to plant that little seed with all of you as well as you're kind of thinking through this. And then, as you all know, there have been many plans for the Arts Center already imagined and pitched and studied. And I think it was, did you guys get the 2000 and was it the 2002 or the 2004 plan? I've got the hard copy over here that I sent to you. It actually, let's see if I can grab it. This is the 97 plan, but then it was updated again in 2002. And the original concept does call for the art center in this part of the AMC complex. And I don't know if that's the land that you guys are referring to or looking at.
City Center. For City Center.
No, actually the municipal campus AMC. It calls for the little lot that's currently a parking lot. That was the space that was imagined for the original, kind of the earlier concepts for the performing arts complex. So it's neat stuff. And if you want any of that stuff, I'm happy to forward it to you as well.
Sure, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I'm looking at.
I do think I got it, and I didn't look at it yet, but that idea makes me very happy because I think the less land that we're using for parking, and the way we can find other ways to manage parking other than using surface lots, I am all for that. So, and sorry, Councilmember Medina, I cut you.
No. Oh, yeah, we're certainly looking wherever we can do it. Certainly looking at the site actually right across from there on Chambers, that whole lot. I've been talking to the developers on that as well regarding that situation of putting it there where it could be visible. You know, again, it would be visible where you're looking at as well. But I just think that, you know, if we can tie that into everything else that's around that complex, from housing to restaurants and everything else. And like I said earlier about maybe parking in one spot and then be able to travel throughout that area. So, yeah, let me know and send that information, and I'll kind of utilize that to kind of push and then try to figure out a timeline and try to make it happen. That's my goal, is to push.
Let me ask you guys just really quickly, and I don't know if this is a loaded question. I don't mean it to be. Just on an individual basis, what do you guys find is the most difficult part about either having the conversation or either, like you said, to push? Because I'm trying to figure out how we all get on the same page and all, if we push together, I don't know.
The issue is
Enough of
the
us want
money.
it, right?
Yeah.
It's land and
It's the
money.
money, and we don't have, we have all these other things we're trying to go, or we may need to go to the taxpayers to ask for money for. And so this just ends up being another thing that we're asking for a tax increase. And it's hard, it's a hard sell. And for some folks, any tax increase for anything is a hard sell.
Right.
I kind of wonder sometimes too if it's a tax increase on that end, but if you give kids something to do, maybe that would reduce some crime or the fact that kids got someplace to go, because it's either going to be tagging or nuisance or trouble. I mean, I know we can't hang our hat on that, but
100%. No,
Every little bit
that's
helps.
an absolutely essential piece of money that the city is saved by having this type of facility. There's also money generated by having the facility. And
yeah,
so,
because like Medora was saying, with the dance stuff, we're losing some folks. I know some folks that go outside of Aurora because we don't have a facility, like a steady facility, like Medora saying. So
No, I'll say, Seth, growing up, if it weren't for the fact that my parents had the, opportunity to get me into baseball and also into orchestra. I played the viola growing up. So, and I still do actually.
okay, well, where's
but-
the viola? Where's the solo?
Oh, I'm not that good. Come on now. But it's mostly like a hobby thing that I do now when I have time. But yeah, like that helped, so I think every little bit helps, and I'd much rather have our kids learning how to play an instrument, learning how to do dance, etc., than not having anything to do and then getting up to no good, right? So
Yep.
I think it just ties into, the other aspect of reaching to another population of youth, right? We have a lot of things, I think, for sports oriented, but we don't have a lot of for the arts. And there are a whole nother population that gravitates towards that end, and we're not servicing that community at this time. And so, yeah, I mean, I think to your point, we need as many opportunities for kids to segue into that keeps them off the street and keeps them active, because we know that statistically that helps them to grow and learn and become better productive citizens. So yeah, so like I said, I think like to their, but I also think that it's just looking at the vision and looking at what you have laid out, and then just kind of getting a ballpark of what the amount is. And for me is just to go out and research and see if there's opportunities for money to come and do it, just get it done. I mean, I think, to me, I don't like to waste a whole lot of time. I just like, if once I got a vision of it and see what you guys are looking to put out, then I think it's just getting out and getting the public to say, hey, let's buy this, let's buy into this. And I think that's where that sell comes through, is like, hey, here's the opportunity for you and our city to grow. I know constituents that I talked to when I was campaigning, that was one of the big things from, I'd say, the age range of about 20 to about 35. They were asking for some kind of venue. So So I think there's need there and there's certainly wants. And so I think if people want to do it, I think to me it's a give and take. You know, you can't always take, and you got to give out something as well. So
Right. Sorry for cutting you off too earlier, Allison. Sorry.
No, you're great. No problem. I think we're all good to go. Any other questions, comments, anything folks would like to raise? All right. Well, thank you so much, Seth, for joining us and for sharing, and absolutely look forward to continued discussion on this venue, as well as just other opportunities for youth with respect to the arts.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Everybody be well. Midori, thank you.
So actually, Councilmember Coombs,
Yes.
I'm wondering actually, since because I think we've all been talking about a performing arts center for so long. Is that something that we can actually get a presentation on for an upcoming meeting? I don't know if it necessarily fits into the committee, you know, but
It totally does.
Okay.
I mean, it's part of our tourism entity's strategic plan.
Okay, fair.
Maybe
fair.
if
Good point.
Bruce wanted to join with maybe Laura and Midori and whoever else you guys think would be good.
Yeah, because I would really like to push the conversation forward. Let's see if we can agree on a site, on a vision. Ruben, if you want to reach out to the folks you've been talking to and see if they can come on. And when we're looking at the space across from the municipal center, I would also like to include Arapahoe County in that conversation because they have like 3 giant parking lots over there, at their building that I think could be, maybe repurposed. Maybe we can help them do like stacked parking there, and we could put our performing arts center, in some of that shared space. And I think that they would have a vested interest in us doing this as well, because I think they'd, stand to gain some revenue through property tax and whatnot. So.
Excellent. I am all for getting that on the agenda. Should I reach out to Stephanie to have her contact y'all, or how do we want to go about doing that?
Sure, Coombs. I can take that one and help coordinate and work with you on a presentation and work with staff to get that pulled together.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Great.
And next, we have a boards and commissions update with Katie and Dave Lathers. And I'm guessing Tristan also, since you are here. So go ahead, y'all.
Thank you. So I'm Katie Rodriguez, the city clerk. I do have Tristan Sheptalk with me. He's the city clerk analyst. And we just wanted to touch base with this committee on various issues about the appointment process, staff and board member roles. We have a new board manager platform that we rolled out. We want to touch base on the new promotional material for boards and commissions, the training and resources that we have compiled. The liaison guide is actually in your backup for review. And we are going to briefly touch base on upcoming projects that the city clerk's office is working on and we'll be bringing forward to this commission. So I'm going to hand it over to Tristan and he's going to take the lead on the presentation.
Thank you, Katie. So hi, everyone. So I'll present my screen. So with our update, so we want to just give a basic overview. So there are currently 31 boards and commissions that are active at the current moment. Each is composed of resident volunteers, and some in special situations will be whether it's specialized individuals in that particular field, like the Historic Preservation Commission or Oil and Gas Advisory Commission. And then obviously a resident's point of view is so important in making decisions for the city council, and making sure that it's a representative government in all decisions that are made, and that all new and existing operations are reviewed and the appropriate course of action is suggested. So we wanted to just go over the basic appointment process of members of boards and commissions. So initially, applications are received and verified by our office and by myself. we make sure that they meet all the qualifications and that it's properly vetted. And once they meet the proper qualifications, we send those over to the staff liaisons, and they coordinate with the individuals to schedule interviews with all qualified candidates that are sent over. Then the next step in the process is that once the interviews are completed, they make their recommendations that are then sent to us in a new memorandum format that we then put into the correct format. And that first goes to a study session, and once approved at a study session, goes to final approval at a council meeting. And once they do receive the final approval, the applicants are notified of their appointment by the city clerk's office. And anyone that isn't appointed, we make sure that the staff liaison contacts that individual to let them know that they haven't been appointed. The staff liaison is also in charge of inviting the applicants to the next meeting and making sure that welcome pack is provided so that they kind of know what's going on and so that they aren't lost in that initial process. And of course, everyone that is interviewed, we make sure that the applications are kept on file for a year and every application is sent in. So we want to specify kind of the roles of myself in our office and of the board members and the liaison, since that's come up as some confusion lately. So in terms of the appointment process, we make sure that we receive applications and review all the qualifications to make sure that they match. We forward all qualified applications and those within the last year to the city council and to the staff liaison for consideration. And as I was describing earlier, once we receive all that confirmation, we put the appointments and reappointments into the eScribe system that can be brought to council. We make sure that they're notified of who was appointed and of the outcome. And we also make sure that everything is maintained and current and that the accurate records and board manager and the master roster are all up to date. In terms of agendas and minutes, we make sure that all meeting dates are posted and that the location, times, and cancellations are all up to date and that they are all 24 hours prior to the meeting. We make sure to do a 48 hours, but at the very minimum, 24 hours. We also make sure that all signed minutes are received and posted online, and we make sure to respond to any questions or concerns from staff liaisons or any other city department or citizens. And for staff roles, staff liaisons, their three main functions are to provide board support, handle applications, and the agenda and minute process. And for board support, they are the main contact and support for board members. We're always happy to help, but we prefer if a board member reaches out to the staff liaison before we get involved. They're in charge of reviewing the webpage periodically to ensure that it's accurate. And if anything is inaccurate, they reach out to myself or our office, and we make sure to make those changes in a timely manner. And then they also manage attendance records, and those are made available at all times. So if any council member, any staff members need those attendance records, they're available at any and all times. And all applications are forwarded from us to them, and they provide the administrative support to the board during the interview process in terms of setting up, making sure that all the meetings are coordinated and that all that happens. And then they assist in the board in preparation of memorandums for consideration, appointment, reappointment, and in rare cases, the removal of a member. And for agendas and minutes, they provide all the information to our office regarding the annual meeting schedule at the beginning of each year so that we can make sure that those are all up to date on the boards and commissions calendar. Then meeting agendas no later than 48 hours prior to the meeting. Then making sure that all cancellations or changings in times and locations are approved or so that we can update the website. And as Katie was discussing earlier, we recently launched our new board manager platform. And there's the public view, and then there's the staff dashboard, that's our view. And on the public side, you can see the member information and determine start end dates and their roles, whether it be chair, vice chair, the member, the historian, whatever role it may be, that displays on the public side. Then it also gives the description of the board. It provides the vacant positions, the number of them, how many are available, which boards have vacancies, and then it also has a link to the board's webpage where the agendas and minutes can be found, and the applications are also available on the public view. And on our side, we're able to handle the amount of vacancies, applications received, upcoming expiring terms, and we're able to make any updates at any time to that. So that's a great feature as well. It also gives us specific board information, such as it provides us the term length, term limits, the size of the board. It keeps us constantly updated the number of vacancies that we have, member information, and their member roles. And this is the new promotional materials that we've been working with the communications department that we're starting to get out into the community and really starting to promote the boards and commissions. This, for example, is the Art and Public Places Commission. It gives a basic rundown of the commission, and it gives you all the contact information and how to apply for the board and commission. And then we work with the communications department to schedule a quarterly schedule to advertise vacancies. And we're also constantly advertising them in many other fashions, such as city events, rec centers, schools. Just recently, yesterday, I was out at the Central Rec Center promoting the boards and commissions. We were able to get just 5 people right on the spot to apply for boards and commissions. So that's been a great way to go about helping fill those vacancies. And we also recently extended terms to create staggered term dates and consistent term dates that we brought to the PR Plus committee a couple weeks ago. And in all these efforts, we've been able to reduce the vacancies from over 70 to under 30 since March 2022 of this year. In terms of training resources, we've really made a priority to set standard process and procedures across the board. And we've conducted 2 training sessions thus far, and a third one is scheduled for this Friday. And in this one, we're going to review member roles and responsibilities so those are clear on both fronts. We're going to discuss the budget and social media, because from comments from the general management and from the boards and commissions themselves, these have been issues that have arisen, so we really want to clarify these. We're also going to be going through board manager to make sure that they understand everything on that front as well. And with the boards and commission staff liaison guidebook, like Katie was saying, that was provided in the backup material. And so you can review that. We're happy to hear any criticism or any recommendations. This was created with feedback from meetings with staff liaisons and city management, and it provides consistent processes and procedures for staff liaisons to make sure everything's orderly and that everything goes smoothly. And some upcoming projects that we have for members and liaisons, we're creating a board member guidebook so that every board and commission member can have a set process and procedure and guidebooks that it's not just a few, every single board and commission member will be able to have that for them. A new member onboarding program, and we're also going to make sure to have refresher training with staff liaisons and board chair members, just to clarify those roles and making sure that everyone's going through those standard processes. And in terms of the PR Plus committee, we're going to be updating the resolution 2013 that has caused some problems. So we're making the current adjustments to that. We're setting a procedure for boards to place items on council agendas so that some boards and commissions don't bring a idea straight to the commission without city staff approval or the staff liaison approval. And an amendment to City Code Section 2769 to define city administration when city administration individuals are trying to apply for different roles and publicity members. And that is all. And we are, Katie and I and Cecilia's on the call as well, and we're happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you being here, and that was a very helpful and thorough presentation. And also, congratulations on reducing those vacancies. Thank you so much. That is excellent news.
Thank you.
So thank you all for all of your work. And that was going to be one of my questions, but seeing that reduction in vacancies, maybe it's not necessary, which is, are there any boards and commissions that might, from their own perspective, benefit from changing the number of members that they have? Because some are pretty large, and I think always have vacancies.
Yep.
And so I do wonder if there are any conversations about reducing the number of members on some commissions and boards that are extremely large. So that's my first question.
Yeah, and I can let Tristan elaborate a little more. I know that there's only 3 boards and commissions right now that have more than 2 vacancies. All the rest of them have less than 2, and that's the Aurora Fox Center, the Youth Commission, and the Immigrant and Refugee Commission. And some of those are because the total number of members is more than what they can fulfill. So there, I think it would be a beneficial discussion to have. And then Tristan, if there's any other boards or commissions that you know of, just please speak, interrupt me, speak up. But those are the ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah, no, definitely. Those 3 are the ones that usually have consistent ones. And in terms of the Immigrant and Refugee Commission and the Aurora Youth Commission, those ones are constantly a problem because their term length is usually only 2 years. So it's a constant in and out of members. That's really hard to keep members to keep applying to be reappointed. So that's an issue with those 2. With the Aurora Fox Arts Center, that's one that we have been in discussions with Bo himself, because that is a member. There's 15 members that have to be filled on that commission, which is a very large amount compared to a lot of other boards and commissions. So in our discussion, we wanted to wait until the end of the year to see, with the vacancies falling so much, we wanted to give it until the end of the year before we wanted to talk about decreasing the amount of members on that board.
Great, thank you. That is very helpful. And then my other question is about youth membership on boards other than the Youth Commission. So I believe that when we changed the requirement from registered elector to resident, that maybe made it possible for people under the age of 18 to be on other boards and commissions. And so I was just wondering if that is an accurate interpretation, or what we might need to do to go about having youth members on boards and commissions other than the Youth Commission.
Tristan, do you want to address that, or do you want me to?
You're muted, Tristan.
I said you can address that, Katie, then I can add on anything as well.
Okay. So that is definitely something I need to look more into. Let me check really quick.
Yeah, because I know from my understanding, there's only one with the Aurora Immigrant Refugee Commission. It's the only one that doesn't require you to be a registered voter. All the other ones do currently require you to be a registered voter to be on that board and commission, with exclusion to the Aurora Immigrant Refugee Commission and the Aurora Youth Commission.
I thought that we had changed that through ordinance, like in 2020. Maybe that only applied to one as like a sample, and then we need to update it on the rest of them. Now that it's happened, I'm not sure.
So it was ordinance 2021-03, I believe. Yes. And then that's in section 2-769 of the city code. Yeah, so I think there are, it does state that you have to be a resident of the city, and it says if you're not a registered elector, we can accept the following proof of residency, which would be a non-expired government issued ID, a current year or most recent year income tax return, property tax assessment or utility bill in the applicant's name, showing an address within the city of Aurora, or any documentation which would be acceptable by the Department of Motor Vehicles for establishing residency. So, and then I know Dave is on here, so he can jump in, but I'm assuming unless in a different part of the city charter or city code for that specific board or commission, if it states that they have to be a registered elector, the charter would trump this ordinance. So if it's something in the charter that states that you have to be a registered elector, of course, that's what we'd have to go by. And then if there's something in the city code that goes against this for the specific board or commission, that's probably what they go by as well.
Yeah, so I know for civil service and planning and zoning, those are actually in the charter, so we weren't able to impact those with that ordinance. But maybe I'll circle back with you all to make sure that the individual ordinances establishing each board and commission don't have any conflicts, and if they do, go about resolving that.
Yeah, to address your point, council member, and Katie's point, we did do 2-679, which has reduced the minimum qualification to residency, but many of the individual boards and commissions, of course, they have their own enabling legislation. Take what it is. And in that enabling legislation for them individually, most of them still require registered electors. So we now have permission to change that enabling legislation, but we would have to go through one at a time to change the enabling legislation for boards that require more than that, and to consider whether that would be wise. So there's nothing in the charter in Article 9 which would require us to make them registered electors, except for the 4 boards and commissions listed in the charter: Board of Adjustments, Career Service, Library, and Planning and Zoning. For all the other boards and commissions, we could reduce that. We've now authorized that through 2-679, but we'd have to individually go through and change the enabling legislation. That would not be difficult on any one of those. It's a fairly easy administrative change, but the number of them would be rather fantastic. We could try and do it as a omnibus legislation, perhaps just listing each enabling legislation by number, and rather than doing it individually, just do a wholesale change so that registered electors shall now reflect residency, and that would take the administrative burden down. But it'd be quite a list, and I imagine council, if presented with a list of let's change this on 27 boards and commissions, would want to study whether they think that's appropriate. Of course, much of that would be handled through committee work first to give that conversation a chance to occur outside of a regular council session where it could get messy. So
Yeah,
we can accomplish that if it's desired to be accomplished, because that ordinance 2-679, and I'm not surprised you remember, because I believe that was your ordinance. And I remember because it was drafted by me. That's now available to us as an option. Yes.
okay, yeah, let's follow up on how we want to approach that. I think the omnibus legislation would make some sense, and hopefully by just kind of giving adequate backup, we can help dispel any concerns, but we can definitely go through that through the committee and kind of work through what those concerns might be that we need to dispel. So I will follow up with you and we can get that done. Any questions from other members? Councilmember Marcano?
I do have a question. 1 sec here. Just looking at something else. Can we go into a little more detail on the procedure for boards to place items on council agendas? From what I heard, at least my interpretation of what I heard was that it might actually be becoming a little more difficult. So I'd like to know what exactly is going to change in that section.
Yeah, so I think we just wanted to have something written, in stone, clarifying how a board or commission brings items forward to council for consideration. The Veterans Affairs Commission recently brought a few items forward to council, so I think that's what sparked the conversation. So everybody was on the same page and aware of the process. So we're going to compile some information, put together a draft process for this commission to look over and review. We're going to touch base with the staff liaisons and try to see what they think the best approach would be as well. So as the staff liaison, they would be responsible for inputting the information and the item into eScribe on behalf of the board and commission. So even just clarifying how to do that and coordinating with the boards, and the boards coordinating with staff liaisons to get on there. And then also some boards and commissions aren't really aware that this is the main policy committee for boards and commissions. So just even at that starting point, stating, you know, if you have this idea, it would go through this policy committee, study session, and a council meeting. And then further clarifying, you know, if it's an ordinance, this is the process, resolution, motion, just giving that in-depth description and process is what we're looking at.
Okay, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure we weren't gonna, you know, potentially scare folks off from suggesting stuff to us. So I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Marcano. Councilmember Medina.
Yes, just a couple questions, some clarification, I guess. On the youth, on the immigrant refugee population, I'll kind of get that out. I sit on a welcome center, which works with that population. So I can see if I can get that information out to that group of people as well. On the youth commission, I think I had a conversation with the people that were in charge of the youth commission, because they kind of moved away from a process. When I worked with the city, I was actually the city liaison for the youth commission. And back then when we did it, how we got people was the 6 council members in the wards brought somebody forth from that ward. So they each nominated a youth from that particular ward so that they would be able to have some autonomy from different sectors, so that, you know, all those wards are represented, so to speak, as opposed to right now, most of them I think are from the south and the east, and there's not representation from the other wards. And so, you know, I don't know if that's a specific process that they changed, or can we go back to that where we can, you know, have council members, you know, nominate somebody.
And I'll let Dave Lathers give a little bit more in-depth information on that, but and maybe he has some previous experience with this, because, you know, since I've been here, that hasn't been the process, so I'm not quite sure when that changed. But I would believe that would probably be something we'd want to put in the city code, like we do with the BAB and CABC. That way it's set in stone, and we know that a council member will from, you know, each ward, and then we need to discuss, are you saying at large as well? So all the at large and ward council members, and how many can you appoint, when can you appoint them, just kind of like we do with the CABC.
Okay.
Yes, to elaborate on what Katie said, I'm going to be in full agreement with her. The charter just says that they shall be appointed by council. The method of appointment is not specified, but if we are going to do other than by the entirety of council, to give appointment priority or authority to individual council members, it still, you know, gets voted on by council, because we're going to be changing the ordinance. So that would be an acknowledgement of that, but we'd have to do that individually for the boards and commissions where we thought that was appropriate.
Okay.
Easy enough to change. I mean, the code ought to work for council as representatives of the people to accomplish what we want to in the city. So if the code is standing in our way and it's only the code, not the charter, we can adjust that for you. Hopefully we're clever enough to figure it out.
Yep. Well, that's what I'd like to look into, that just so that we can kind of ensure that we have people coming on board, and as people go, they at least have some idea of, you know, if there's an issue with getting people, that we can basically fill some of those voids.
Councilmember Medina, this is Cecilia,
Yes.
Deputy City Clerk. Also, something that we have reached out to the council members to have Tristan or any of us, Katie and I, can also attend any of the town hall meetings and talk about the boards and commissions, specifically those that have more vacancies. So we're happy to attend any of those town hall meetings so that we can promote it as well. And
Okay.
have some, you know, members of your community, your wards, apply to those vacancies.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just add, Tristan had provided me a list of the boards and commissions that had no Ward 5 representation, so I was able to also encourage members to apply even on my own at the town hall meeting. So that was also very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do that with any council member as well. I can give you an updated list of any members where the vacancies lie. So if you're interested in that, I'm happy to do that.
And now you can the board manager that we were talking about on the city website it's so much easier to look to see where all the vacancies are at as well. So that's another, if you just, you know, right then in that second you want to go look, you can always reach out to Tristan and get more information, but there's a lot more on that board manager page as well.
That's right. I did want to say thank you so much for including the term end dates on there, because that's something people have asked me about before. And I'm like, I don't really know. Some of them say and some of them don't. So thank you. And Councilmember Marcano, you were raising your hand.
Yes, thank you. Actually, on that point, Katie, I had a chance to check out the board manager yesterday. And I think it's a great improvement over what we had before. But one thing I noticed is the descriptions for some of the boards get cut a little short, and you have to hover over them for a tooltip to come up. But if you move your mouse, you lose the tooltip. So I actually had a constituent reach in asking for some more information on some of the boards, and I wanted to just screenshot the descriptions, but I couldn't do that. So just wanted to throw that out there. If maybe we can expand the size of that field a little bit so that it's still scrollable, but it displays the full description, I think it'd be really helpful.
Yeah, we can definitely get with eScribe and see if that can be altered. And maybe it's just our webpage thing that we can do on our end. And then I also believe that if you click on the board, it should bring you to their webpage that has, and those should all have descriptions. And if not, definitely let us know so we can get that updated.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get to that right now. I'll have an answer for you on that point shortly here.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone clicks on the board name, it actually brings up the number of members, the length of the term, how many term limits. There, we actually also added a link to the bylaws for that board or commission. We have contact information if they need to contact the city staff liaison. And then it also lists the members that are currently on the board, the terms, and, you know, when they expire. And the description for that board.
Yeah, I'm on there now, and I don't know if the full plugin was running yesterday, but it's wonderful now. So scratch my complaint. This actually works great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. I think that's everything on that item. Does anybody have anything else before we move on? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much, Cecilia, Tristan, and Katie, and Dave, for being here to kind of share that information and answer our questions. And we look forward to continuing to improve our boards and commissions process. And thank you all for your hard work in making that happen.
Thank you.
All right, any miscellaneous items for consideration? Seeing none, let's look at our next meeting schedule. Get to that spot and pull it up. Sorry. Okay. Nope, that is not in the backup. So
Councilmember Coombs, our next meeting is on August 24th. We have the Immigrant and Refugee Commission annual report coming.
okay, excellent. Are there any other or any conflicts with that date that folks are aware of? Okay, good. And any other items that folks want to see on that agenda?
Just what I requested earlier, if we can get it happen.
Yeah, if
that
that's
quickly.
able to be done by then. And same, I'll follow up with Dave to see if we're able to bring the other, the boards and commission omnibus, or if we need a little more time on that. So, all right. Well, with that said, that's everything. So thank you all for your time today, and look forward to seeing you all around, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.
Take care, y'all.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.